Hi. Hello and welcome back to Dicebreaker. I'm Wheels.
Hi, I'm Maddie.
Today we're talking about a brand new open beta for the brand new game from the Critical Role team, the design team that is, not the people playing on camera.
We've seen a lot of stuff online about people being like, wow, Matt Mercer designed this game. And we're like, no.
No, this is I guess it's Darrington Press. I don't know if it's officially that, but yeah, it's their sort of like game design outlet that they have in-house. This is, I will just disclaimer this right at the start, the lead designer on Daggerheart, which is what we're talking about today, is Spencer Stark, who's a friend of mine, so I have some personal biases, which I don't think are really going to come up because I wouldn't say this is going to be a overwhelmingly positive video.
So don't worry about it.
But just for the sake of full disclosure, we've been looking through the playtest documents for this new game, Daggerheart.
We were originally going to do a review. We're going to read through. We're going to talk about the game, everything we learned about it, and like what we think it would be like, like have a little playtest and stuff. But we were just kind of reading through and like we were just struggling passion-wise. Yeah,
we wanted to do an impressions piece of like what it seems like to play and what kind of interesting things it's doing. And it's not that we're like vastly negative about it. Like I don't think it looks like a bad game. I think just the question, as the title of this video will probably imply, is just like, do we need this?
Do we need this?
Yeah.
Does the world need this? Do the people need this?
Yeah.
Is a question. And we're not entirely sure.
Yeah.
And for a bit of background, obviously I play like a lot of fantasy RPGs. Like I generally, like up until recently where I've been kind of busy, I've played up to 4 RPGs a week, and multiple of them are fantasy. Like it used to be D&D every single week, and then I switched to Pathfinder.
Very consistently was D&D for a while, right?
Yeah, it was D&D for years.
Wizards of the Coast started to get a little bit weird, which is that's an understatement. But yeah, I think that's a lot of the kind of hope for people, is that this will be like, oh look, we can replace D&D with something that isn't made by Wizards of the Coast, because they've had a lot of kind of bad stuff.
The OGL situation happened, and like many other people, I was like, okay, that put me off D&D. I looked for other things. I landed on Pathfinder, which is where I think a lot of people landed, but it did leave a lot of people kind of being like, what are we going to do? And like a lot of people who engage in actual plays who are famous because of D&D being like, are they going to carry on with this? Like, what does that mean? And then I guess Daggerheart is the answer to that, perhaps, in that no, like, there's something else.
For background on me, I've never really been a very big D&D fan. Like I'm quite vocal about the fact I don't really enjoy playing it. It's not one of my favorite systems in the world. I find it quite dull. I'm not necessarily against the saying. Like I think just sort of like generic fantasy is fun. Like I don't mind being in a generic fantasy setting.
You can't go wrong.
It's very, very approachable, and like most people know what's going on.
Who doesn't love elves and dwarves and
I hate elves,
and dragons. Okay, well, that's a whole other conversation.
That's not for this video. But we are, like, in general, massive RPG fans, and we'd love to see brand new systems, like genuine new systems. That is a huge boon for us. Like, I'm like, as much as I don't like D&D, I'm also a little bit sick of Powered by the Apocalypse. Like, I am happy to see that people are doing new things and creating original systems.
100%, because like, definitely Powered by Apocalypse has its place. It works. I have plenty of RPGs which I really enjoy using that system. Masks New Generation, a superhero one, I love. But again, whenever I'm like, oh, it's Powered by Apocalypse again. Okay. All right. I would just... It just feels like there is times where it's like, okay, maybe something else, we could try something else. And like, it's exciting to try and see people try new things, which I think to an extent Daggerheart does. Like there are some new stuff.
Which is why I was kind of... I think it was confusing at first to be like, why am I not feeling this? Like, and it's not necessarily anything that's like majorly mechanical about it. I think that they're doing some slightly interesting things.
Yeah.
I'll also just preface, this is an open beta. Like, this is not the final product. This is very much in playtest material standards. So like the things that you are looking at may not even be in the final product, right?
100%.
We're just trialing that out, and I think a lot of those things will probably hopefully get smoothed over. A lot of the concerns that we have with it.
Yeah.
But I think that like overall feeling that we had, and the reason why we're struggling to get onto this video before we started like re-angled it, is just sort of like, what is this providing that isn't already available?
Like there are, if you're looking to RPGs, if you get in through D&D and you're like, oh, what next? It's like, if you want fantasy, there are so many options still. But I think the main thing that normally pushes people to stop playing D&D is like, oh, I want something that isn't fantasy.
Yeah.
again, so many incredible options. Like we have plenty of videos here on the channel, so you can check them out.
Chuck one up. There'll be one here now.
Click at it, click on it. But yeah, and you know, if I'm going to be drawn to play a new fantasy RPG, there has to be something like I love Mouse Ritter, and I was like, yeah, that's great. It's like OSE stuff, OSR stuff. It's like little mice. It feels really like fun to be like, wow, even a big spider's really scary. Like it's like, okay, this is fantasy, but it's like doing something very different.
Yeah,
again,
it's a new setting, right? And like, I think the intention with this is to create a relatively one-to-one replacement for Dungeons & Dragons.
Yes.
Because, again, there are a lot of people who absolutely adore D&D. Like, it is very difficult sometimes to convince someone to play anything else, right? And that's fair enough. Like, if you love that game, you love that game. And trying to marry that with the fact that people have been really unhappy with, like, the conduct of the company that makes it recently.
Especially with the new edition coming and people kind of feeling like, obviously, 5e is not the focus anymore, and 5e is what a lot of people really like in playing. So it's like, I don't really know where the shift is going to be for people.
Yeah. That presents a really unique opportunity for someone to go, okay, look, you like D&D? We took all the stuff that we like about D&D and we like added new nuance and et cetera, right? The problem is, like, it doesn't feel like Daggerheart as a system in like the way that it currently stands, and from what we've seen, you know, I'm sure there is a lot more research we could be doing. Like, unfortunately, we haven't got that time to delve into it in the most detailed way possible. A lot of what they seem to be doing doesn't really add anything new, but it also doesn't really improve on what's been there before, but at the same time it's not the same, so it's like it's not like it's hey, here's a D20 system that we made so that you can literally play D&D and not feel
you want
bad.
D&D new one, here we go.
It's like, no, we've made new things. We've got a different dice system. We've got like the fear hope thing going on with the 2d12s. Cool. We've changed how advantage works. We've changed how turn order works. We've, like, all of this stuff is very different, but not in a way that feels necessary.
It's like, it's just really hard because it's like, again, like there's some different things, but then it's like all of the races, which I think are ancestries,
heritages, ancestries, something like that.
Yeah, it's like, oh, those are all just ones that were in D&D. And again, it's like, I guess that's just a replacement. So if you want all those things, and then classes, generally your classic fantasy classes, plus angel, which I'm interested.
Seraph, yes. It's like fighter, rogue, warrior, cleric, angel.
Here's my angel with wings and giant flaming sword, and you guys just can't handle it.
I mean, slay, to be fair, but
I mean, I'm not against it. I was just like, oh, interesting. Like,
weird that it's a class is why we were confused, but
So there are a lot of things where it's like, I can just see this as like a sidestep you could create. And because I think they have a video making, like Critical Role, like making one of their like characters from their latest campaign of their D&D game in Daggerheart. And I guess for them as well, they're going to be in an interesting position where like they have an audience that are used to them playing in a particular way. So like, which is D&D, so they probably want a system that's going to allow that to continue. Yeah.
I think so. Like, one thing to take away from this is that, like, despite whatever your thoughts might be on Dungeons & Dragons as a game, I'm not super positive about it. I don't think it's a very like tight design.
Yeah.
However, that game has existed for a long, long time, and a lot of people, a lot of like relatively talented people as well, have worked on this game, have gotten it to the state that it's in, have found like the niche that it fits in the world, have made it approachable in its own ways and incredibly unapproachable in other ways. So like when you have a relatively new design team, not that they're new to designing games in general, but like a new team working together. I think they've only had one project before this, which was Candela Obscura. There is like a lot of pressure to be like, okay, well now you're going to make your own D&D, but it can't be D&D. It has to be something slightly different. And it feels like you can feel the desire to just do something different for the sake of doing something different rather than like the intentional design.
Which you felt a little bit like the hit points, because rather than just like you have a number and you're minusing and like taking things away from that number, it's like you have thresholds, and then armor can get in the way of that, and then you have like just like little kind of boxes you're ticking and things like that. But yeah, like I think the problem is like it is a big ask. It's like it's less like a game is being set out to make a game, because it's like this is something that we think would be really cool and really exciting and interesting. It's like, I'm creating this RPG because like I just really want to like play in this world I've kind of created, or I really want to play a superhero at my tabletop. Like I want to do these things. It does obviously feel like there is a position where it's like this needs to replace the game we're playing on our actual play, or like people, I almost feel like there's just like kind of people expect it of them, like everyone has expected it of them for ages to make their own games, so it's like,
as soon as they announced they were making a game studio, I was like, oh, okay, they're gonna make their own thing, so they can have, you know, to be like bleak and capitalist in the way that you're gonna have to do these kind of things. They're like, well, why can't we sell our own books rather than just selling books for another company?
Which is, you know, 100% fair. They've made, you know, all of their kind of a bunch of like Critical Role books set in, you know, using D&D, but like set in their universe and stuff like that, like adventures and like classes and things like that.
Yeah, I'm sure they have made a lot of money for Wizards of the Coast in the past, and they've probably gone, maybe we should be making this for ourselves, you know?
I own some of those books. I've played some of those classes. Love to be a blood hunter. Like, had a lot of fun. Like, I think it makes sense. Like, again, like, it's an incredibly creative team. Like, there's a reason Critical Role is as big as it is, and, you know, it makes sense. And part of me is excited to be like, wow, yeah, like, what are you guys going to do? Like, you have all this creativity and, like, background in this space. And, yeah, but then I just sit down to read it, and I'm just like... I don't know if I want.
Just not feeling it. Yeah,
I just like, don't know.
There are certain things, and like obviously, as I've just said at the top of the video, this is not made for me. Not a Critical Role fan, not a D&D fan.
Yes.
Like, I'm not the target market here. But like, you kind of are like a target market.
Yeah.
Like, you love your fantasy RPGs. You needed to replace D&D something with, and went to Pathfinder. But like, so this just doesn't really scratch the same itch. And you've also ended up in this weird position where like, because they're like, I'm not putting words in their mouth, it feels like they're very pressured to make something that is very similar, but also like specifically mechanically different.
Yeah.
So that they can say, look, this is a new game that does the same thing. And there are so many little like sort of ideas in there and like paths that they've taken where you can feel them trying to reinvent the wheel and not really coming out with something better. Like, it's like, oh, we've put octagons on our on our cart, and I'm not sure that's a great idea. But yeah, like the HP system that you mentioned, like the fear and hope stuff, like they have a system whereby you're rolling 2d12 in different colors. One is the fear die, one's the hope die. So every time you roll dice, one of those will be higher, and either the GM gets fear or you get hope. And that's a 50-50 because like one of those dice will always be higher than the other, which means apart from when you crit, but that means that you're always getting the resource of hope or the resource of fear, which means that we've seen a lot of players say like, yeah, I'm just absolutely flooded with this stuff. I don't know what to do with it anymore. You know?
Which is a tough thing, especially for like, I don't know, I was gonna say new players, but like anyone is kind of just like, what do I...
Yeah.
Like, you know, you want it to feel challenging, you want it to feel difficult, things like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's feeling a little bit strange, and like D&D is a really weird beast. Like I said, it's existed for a long time, and like people have a very specific expectation about like how things happen.
I know a lot of people have very different expectations. Like it's like we have the old school war game like kind of original crew, and then we have like the new people that come in and have seen like actual plays and like, wow, I want to make like a really cool fun story with my friends. It's just like more where like I came in and was just like, I just want to play a fun character, but I also like fighting and stuff.
Yeah, trying to marry all those things together is really difficult.
It is
trying
hard.
to make it like approachable to new players, which I think they've kind of failed on. It's like a 400-page book for the playtest material.
This is it, and character sheets are quite chunky still, which again is the biggest roadblock for D&D. Is the first thing you have to do is like make a character sheet, because like I know you can do a pre-con, but like the whole appeal for a lot of people with an RPG is making a character. Like that is the part of like the most fun bit and also the worst bit, because you have to fill in this like horrible, confusing page of maths and like numbers and stuff.
You know, for a new player, it's like doing taxes. It's horrid. So
and I think the card system that Daggerheart have is quite nice, because it's like rather than trying to like look up in a book all these things and like write out in like little boxes, which you have in like a D&D character sheet, you just have cards that say those things. Like as someone that used to play D&D a lot, especially when I first started, I would just like buy like custom cards or make my own cards of stuff that said stuff to be like, okay, I can lay it all out in front of me. So I'm, you know, stuff like that I think is super helpful for a new character. But then
at the same time, it's like, what do the cards actually do? Like, not a huge amount. They're essentially reminder text for most of the game, and it's just like, I don't know. I hope that this is like a really early draft that they just wanted to get out in the world and get feedback on, so that they can like really fine tune it, find the things that work, get rid of the stuff that doesn't. But like, I think my biggest like piece of feedback, if I had the design team in front of me, I would just say like, this needs more editing. Like this needs, you need to kill your darlings on this project, because there's just so much stuff just shoved in, and like it feels very much like, hey, this is a really cool idea. Haven't really figured out how it actually works and how it benefits the players at the table, you know. But
100%.
Yeah.
I guess it's one of those hard things where it's like, yeah, maybe it's just, we're just not the target audience. Like, yeah, I guess it's just like there are just so many fantasy RPGs. For me, I'm just like, I just don't see why I should play this one. I think is the always going to be the real struggle. And like for a lot of people that probably won't be a struggle because it's Critical Role. It replaces D&D. Like, you know, that will get a lot of people to play stuff. I get that. Like, but yeah, for me, I'm just like, why this fantasy RPG? And so far, I just haven't seen anything that makes me be like, oh, I should play this for this reason. It's just like, okay. I just like, I'm sorry guys, you've come too late. There's too many options. I play too many now.
Yeah, and again, like this is a unique problem for people who like, it's our job to play RPGs all the time. We know all these games. I know there are a lot of people who have heard of D&D and that's it, and they watch Critical Role and they're like, wow, cool, you can play a different RPG. Great for them. Excellent. But yeah, again, I don't know if it services those people. Like this is a system that ostensibly is kind of like more complicated than Dungeons and Dragons in some ways.
And I will say one of the big appeals and the reason everyone plays D&D is because everyone plays D&D. It's like, this is like how I got my friends into RPGs. I'm like, guys, it's on Stranger Things. See, like we can all play it. Like it's just, you are fighting an uphill battle. So the reason, like, you know, it's like if everyone's already playing D&D, to try and get them to switch, like I understand there is a big chunk of people that will switch, but a lot of them won't. And unless you have something that's like, wow, this is so different, like I can be a superhero, I can be a detective, I can play all of these fun different things, I can play Little Mouse. It's like trying to get people to leave D&D, it's like you're really gonna have to have a reason.
There are some cool things to take away. One thing that I did want to shout out was the sidecar stuff that they've been doing. So like if you've not seen all character sheets, you can print out like a little tutorial sheet. It's literally just another A4 piece of paper that goes underneath yours. And when you slide the character sheet to the side, it's like full of little arrows that explain all the bits on the character sheet. That's so lovely. And like, stuff like that, really nice. And you can see the care and passion that's been put into things like that to try and help players understand this new rules text. But again, it's a thing that's born out of the fact that they've made another really complicated system. So like, new players are going to have to like have tutorial tooltips on all of the sheets of the pages.
The sheet they're looking at.
Just like, ooh, I don't know, guys. Hate to get on here and be super negative. Like, I don't know about super negative, but like it feels like we're. Like,
I think it's just we're waiting for the spark to hit for us.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we said like this is playtest. It's early. Again, we haven't read through the entire thing. That's part of the reason why we're like, I just want to chat about the fact that I haven't read through the entire thing and why, and like, why do I feel this way, and see if other people feel the way that we do. And maybe if you did feel that way and it's changed, like, that'd be really interesting. Like, I would like to know about that. And maybe it will change for us when something happens and that spark hits. But yeah, we're just missing that spark right now.
For now, let us know what you think of the playtest documents in the comments below. Let us know what you are kind of like a bit unsure about, stuff that you really like, stuff that you really don't like, and tell them as well, because you know they will need that feedback. This is what playtests are for. I'm really glad that this is an open beta product and not like, hey, it's just the book and we just like figured it'll be fine. This is a really big undertaking, and I'm glad that they're utilizing like the platform that they have to try and get feedback from people who will actually be playing this thing. So
it's really important.
Yeah, let us know in the comments below. If you haven't already, then please do stick around here on Dicebreaker. You can hit subscribe, give the video a like, give it a comment, give the bell icon to get notified whenever we put new things live on the channel. You can find us over on dicebreaker.com as well, where we'll have loads of different opinion pieces on the game as well, I'm sure, from all of our fantastic writers.
You will.
And we'll also be making silly little things about it on TikTok over on Join Dicebreaker.
You best believe.
Yeah. But thank you so much for watching, everyone. We will see you on the next one. I've been Wheels, this has been Maddie, and this has been Dicebreaker. Until we next see you, have a lovely day.
Bye.